Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. His Majesty King Abdullah stressed the importance of building the institutional capacity of governors and executive and governorate councils to enhance their ability to lay down strategies that set developmental and service as priorities in their regions. At a meeting at Al Husseiniya Palace with governors, His Majesty spoke of the national responsibility and the enormous role that lies ahead of them to uplift their governorates through developing these strategies and following up on their implementation. He said the next stage requires building a relationship of partnership and cooperation between executive and governorate councils and working in the one-team spirit to fulfill the public interest. The King stressed that citizens should feel the impact of decentralization through improving the quality of services offered to them and ensuring a fair distribution of the dividends of development. He underlined the importance of directing investments toward the governorates and launching developmental projects in cooperation with the private sector to alleviate poverty and unemployment. His Majesty stressed that the participatory relationship between the governors and the governorate councils is the key to success of the decentralization in the future. Newly appointed President of the Higher Sharia Court, Kamal Al-Smadi, took the oath of office before His Majesty the King at a ceremony at the Royal Court. A royal decree was issued appointing Smadi as President of the Court as of September the 20th. Israeli forces killed a Palestinian they say opened fire on 3 Israelis in the Jewish settlement of Haradar near Jerusalem in the occupied West Bank. According to Israeli police, the man approached Haradar as part of a group of Palestinians who work in the settlement and opened fire at the security staff before he was shot dead. The man was identified as 37-year-old Nimr al-Jamal from the village of Beit Surik. Meanwhile, the Israeli Prime Minister has ordered the destruction of the family house of al-Jamal, as well as revoking all building permits held by his relatives. Since 2015, Israel has killed over 255 Palestinians. Iraqi Prime Minister Haidar al-Abadi gave the Kurdistan Regional Government KRG until Friday to hand over control of its airports in order to avoid an international air embargo. The measure is meant as a retaliation against the independence referendum held yesterday in northern Iraq. KRG President Masoud Barzani said a win in the referendum would not result in an automatic declaration of independence, but would simply lead to further negotiations with Baghdad. In a televised address today, Barzani called on the Iraqi government to engage in serious dialogue instead of threatening the KRG with sanctions, saying the Kurds may face hardship, but they will overcome. He called on world powers to respect the will of the millions of people. The Iraqi government ruled out talks on possible secession for the Kurdish-held parts of northern Iraq. Final results of the referendum are not expected before Thursday. Over to Syria, where Russian strategic bombers fired cruise missiles at Daesh targets in Syria's Deir ez-Zor and Idlib provinces. The Russian Defense Ministry released footage showing a Tupolev 95 strategic bombers taking off from Engels Air Force Base in Russia's Saratov region and later hitting Daesh targets by missiles. The targets included terrorist command posts, hardware and ammunition depots. French President Emmanuel Macron offered an ambitious vision for European renewal, calling for the EU to work more closely on defense and immigration and for the Eurozone to have its own budget, ideas he may struggle to implement. In a nearly 2-hour speech at the Sorbonne, Macron portrayed Europe as needing to relaunch itself, saying that on issues as diverse as asylum, border protection, corporate tax, intelligence sharing, defense and financial stability, it needed much deeper cooperation. British artist David Hockney gifted Paris's Pompidou Modern Art Museum a giant masterpiece dubbed The Arrival of Spring in Woldgate, East Yorkshire. Hockney did not finish the 366 centimetre by 975 centimetre work until 2011, saying he needed to watch 4 springs to complete it. The 80-year-old has a career spanning more than 60 years. He shot to fame with his swimming pool series depicting sunny California living. Sporting a hearing aid, Hockney said going deaf has helped his vision and as an artist allowed him to explore space in other ways. If you lose one sense, you gain other senses, he said. To sports, there has arguably never been an event more fitting of the Olympic motto, faster, higher, stronger, than sport climbing. It is one of 5 new sports set to make Olympic debuts at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. The others are baseball, softball, bowling, karate, surfing and skateboarding. And at the Climbing World event in Edinburgh, Italy's Ludovico Fossali won the men's event in less than 7 seconds, while the women's event went to France's Anouk Jobert, who won in a time of 7.93 seconds. And finally, the weather outlook. Autumn conditions continue across the kingdom tomorrow as temperatures slightly drop and clouds appear at low altitudes. Winds will be northwesterly moderate to brisk, stirring dust in the desert areas. In Amman, a high of 28 degrees Celsius is expected, dropping to 15 degrees at night. While in the Gulf of Aqaba, mercury levels will register a high of 34 degrees, slipping to 23 at night. And with this, we come to the end of this edition of the news. I'm Ali Atuqan. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night.